Hi, SOULKATION family. Welcome back for another episode of the SOULKATION podcast. I'm so excited because I have the wonderful Angeline Hart here with me today. She's a best-selling author, empowering relationship coach. She's been married for 26 years, and she was married 20 years previously. And she also was a single mom of 3 for 4 years. Welcome to the SOULKATION podcast, Angeline.
Glad to be here. Delighted to be on your show.
I told her I love her leopard because you all know I'm a polka dot and a leopard girl. So she looks amazing today. So can you share with the audience, who was Angeline before you start coaching and writing books and speaking on countless stages? Who was Angeline before then?
Well, you know what, Logan? I actually have had a passion for relationships my whole life. I just didn't recognize that that's what was going on. But I'll tell you that, for instance, I can remember back when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I'd get home from school and sit down to watch TV. This was back when it was black and white TV. And they would play romance stuff. And, it'd be Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, or Clark Gable, who I thought was fantastic, and Claudette Colbert, something like that. And there'd be this relationship. And I would sit there at 8 or 9 years old and think, literally, consciously think, why does he like her? Why is he attracted to her? Why does she like him? What's making their relationship work? And when they'd go through problems, I'd think, well, how could they have fixed that? What should they have done differently? And how does this compare to my parents' relationship? I mean, I have been a relationship person my whole life. And so as far as being a coach, I never thought of it as a career until just the last few years. But I have literally been coaching informally women my whole life since I started dating. I've just always done it.
Wow. Is this something you resonated with?
I'm sorry?
Is this something that you resonated with?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just part of who I am.
So you stated that you were married 20 years previously. So most women are like, okay, we've been together 20 years. Might as well stick it out. We got the house. We got the cars in each other's name, the kids. Like, what gave you the courage to leave or to know that it was over?
That is a super good point. And most people, just like you said, will often stay together for the sake of the kids. I actually left for the sake of my kids. Because I wanted my kids to grow up knowing that they should go for what makes them happy and not stay in situations that really were not serving them well. And I wanted my girls to feel comfortable to stand up for what was right for them, even though I did not have a miserable situation with my first husband. I did not have, he was not, well, he's a little bit verbally abusive, because he's negative and critical, but it wasn't. He was never calling me names, and he certainly was never physically violent. And my mother, when I said I was going to get a divorce, she just had a hissy fit, and she said, "How can you possibly leave a man who brings home his paycheck, doesn't gamble it away, doesn't drink, doesn't beat you?" And I'm thinking, those do not sound like good reasons to be with somebody. But I wasn't happy, and a couple of years after I divorced, somebody said to my oldest daughter, who was probably about 16 at the time, they said, "How are you doing, honey, after your parents divorced?" And she said, "I'm fine." And they said, "Well, it's probably a relief to not hear them arguing and fighting." And she said, "Well, my parents never argued and fought." And they said, "Well, then why did they divorce?" And my daughter came home to me and she said, "Mom, I didn't know what to say." And I said to her, "I don't know how to explain it either. I just wasn't happy." And Logan, I didn't understand until my second marriage, where things were actually being handled the way they should be. At that point, by comparison, then I knew what was wrong with the first one. And I learned through the second marriage what could have been done and should have been done to save my first marriage. But in my first marriage, this was long enough ago that the kinds of advice that therapists and counselors were giving you, it didn't resolve problems. And we went to different counselors and different therapists. We even went to a sex therapist, and we couldn't figure. I just knew I wasn't happy, and I didn't know anything else to do. I'd read books. I'd done everything I could think of.
Yeah.
and now the stuff that I know from working with my now husband, whom I absolutely adore, but I didn't adore him when I met him. I did not look. You and I were chatting just a little bit before the show. When I met him, he was not my type.
We definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah, because I'm attracted to, and still to this day, I'm attracted to those kind of macho guys with a heart of gold, and so I like those cowboys and truckers and stuff like that. And my husband is not a burly, macho looking guy. I mean, my mother used to joke that he looks like an Italian banker. He's got that slim sort of metrosexual kind of body that looks really good in a double-breasted suit, and it just not my type. It took me time to get to know his soul and understand his heart, and I fell in love with those things and gradually fell in love with his looks. It's so funny, Logan, at least it's funny to me now thinking back on it, because a lot of women will say to me, well, he's good looking. Actually, I'll grab a picture and show you real quick.
I love it. This
is a picture from our wedding day. Let me see if I can get it so it doesn't reflect. Can you see it?
Yes.
So he's a good looking guy.
Yes, definitely.
But he didn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
And I remember after I'd gotten to know him, and after I'd started to really care about him, and after we'd built a relationship, and this is a major clue for all of your listeners, that it is not about the immediate sexual chemistry. That is not the determination of whether or not the guy is right for you. In fact, that's probably your pathology, some kind of addiction that attracts you to that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And instead, if you take time and build a relationship, then you start falling in love with who they are. And I remember he and I had been together, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months. And we went to his cousin's wedding, which was held outdoors in a big park. And they had set up a table with food and drinks and all of that. And the crowd was all milling around. And my husband, then date, said, well, let me go get us something to drink. And so he walked over to a distance away to this table where the food and drinks were. And when he turned around and came back toward me, it's like something out of a movie. The people parted, the sun broke through right then and shone down on him. And I looked at him, I thought, what's the matter with me? The man, holy heck, is Hollywood handsome. But I had not seen it before because I was blinded by looking for my type.
How do we get over our type?
Well, one thing you can do is you can take my gorilla quiz, which about men in your past, and you'll see what type you've been attracting or attracted to. Okay. And you can also put in where in the quiz where it asks the name of your man, put in ideal man or fantasy man or my dream guy, or whatever you want to call your fantasy guy, and then take the quiz about that ideal person, and it'll start telling you more what you're really looking for. I'll give you an example. So I had a client, and she had been an actress, very attractive, and was in Hollywood and dated a lot of those Hollywood flash boys. And it'd take her a few months, a few dates, and she just wasn't interested in them anymore. And she'd tell me, I just can't find anybody who's right for me. They just never work out. And I said, well, let's find out what you actually want. And so I had her take the quiz about her ideal man. And she said, owls. The owl type, by the way, the 12 types of men all have animal names just kind of for fun. Well, the owl types are the intellectuals. They're not the flashy ones. They're more the computer geeks and the analytical guys and the lawyers and doctors and people who live in their head and want to discuss ideas and concepts. And she was a very intellectual woman. And so no wonder she was bored by these shallow, flashy guys that had no depth to them. And so she went back to some of the guys that she had previously dated through Tinder or, Plenty of Fish, one of those things. And she gave them a second chance. The guys that she'd passed on before because she had blinders on.
Yeah.
Now she started saying, okay, I can see how things move a little slower. There, we actually can have a discussion. And she started recognizing how to find what she really wanted. It's that change.
Yeah. So, of course, I've been reading your book.
Good.
Let's make make great lovers. I'm on chapter 4. So can you break down like the most common manimals and explain that to the audience because they may not know what that is?
Okay, sure. So the system is about 12 different types of men. And each type is based on what motivates him, what drives him, what makes him feel good about himself, which is another way of saying what are his values. So, for example, we already are familiar with the term shark, which would be a man who is focused on financial success. And he wants to be, you know, the top salesman in the office. He wants the latest Rolex watch. He wants the biggest house on the block and the new Tesla car, all the symbols of financial success, because then he feels like he's a winner. Look at me. I got this. I got that. And there are women who are looking for a man like that.
Yeah.
They want that, at least some of their man's energy. They want to be focused on financial success because it creates security. So that's one we're familiar with. Another one that you'd already be familiar with would be the wolf. So the wolf is focused on sex and romance. And if he's emotionally immature, it's a numbers game. Got that one. This one wants me too. Oh, and I know that one over there is looking for me. And he's like, the fact that I can brag in the gym about all my women, that's what tells me I'm a winner. But if he's emotionally mature, that wolf can be the most romantic, candles and flowers and sweet words and play up to all your fantasies and be loyal. And instead of it being a numbers game, it's how can I prove my manliness by keeping my woman happy? So it's the same kind of guy, but either emotionally mature or immature. And I have a quiz that's a free quiz that you can take to check the emotional maturity of any man too. And it's all on my website, gorillalove.com. You can take the gorilla quiz, you can take the maturity quiz. And some women, they say to their man, I took this quiz about you and I found out that you are a combination of panda and panther and shark. And he's like, what? And so men would go there and try to take this quiz, but all the questions are oriented toward a woman's thinking. And so I created a new quiz that reflects the questions that are in the women's, but that are focused more to the way a man thinks. So that when she takes the quiz about him, she comes back and she says, okay, panda and gorilla and a little bit of shark and panther or whatever. He takes the other quiz, the guy's gorilla quiz, about himself. And now they can compare. How does she see him? How does he see himself? Gives them an opportunity to go deeper into their relationship.
I like that. I took the quiz and I had one of my friend guys take it, and we were the same.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It was basically the same. We were off by 1, but he still was that, but it was like 2 points more for me and 2 points less for him. But we were like right on the money.
Oh, cool. So what that says is that this particular man you're talking about is showing his authentic self to you.
I like it.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite lines from the book is, a boundary is a place where your space and responsibility ends and another person's begins. I was like, yes, I'm gonna say it again. A boundary is a place where your space and responsibility ends and another person's begins. Can you explain that to the audience? Because I know the women that listen to the podcast, you know, might be looking to set up boundaries this year because they implement them.
I will definitely do that. And I think I have a picture in the book that I also use when I'm doing presentations or speeches about boundaries. Oh, and here it is. Not very good in the book. But can you see this little picture? It's 2 yards next to each other.
Yes.
And this one's got weeds all growing in it. And this one's nice and short and mowed and everything like that. Well, a lot of people get really confused. So they live in the house that has the nicely mowed yard. And they want to be responsible for the guy next door who's not mowing his yard. And they want to go over and say to him, you need to get your yard mowed. And he says, well, you know, I'm too busy. I got other things to do. So then, and I'm using male and female as an analogy here. So then she starts thinking, well, how can I get him to mow that yard so that it's the way that I want it to be? And so she thinks, well, let's see, he's going to be out of town next week. I'll get somebody in there and mow it for him. Or she thinks, I'm going to shame him to make him mow that yard and make it the way I want to be. Or I'm going to, maybe I'm going to talk to his mother and have her get him to do it. So she's out of her space and she is in his space. She has crossed that boundary into his space when it's like that. When my husband and I do presentations, we do this little skit kind of thing. And the two of us are standing up on the stage together. And I say, I'm going to show you an example so that it's visual, because some people learn visually, on how to set and manage a boundary. Because a lot of us think that the boundary is when we say something. Well, we set a boundary with our voice. So a woman says to a man, I don't want you to keep talking to me like that. I don't like these names you call me. You got to stop that. You're being disrespectful to me. And when she talks to me, she says, I can't make him change. And I say, well, after you say those things to him, then what do you do? And she says, well, I'm just angry. And I said, do you stay in the room where he is and listen to him when he keeps talking like that? And she goes, well, yeah, but I keep telling him to stop. And I said, so you're setting a boundary with your voice, but you are not managing the boundary with your behavior. And so her behavior is not about going and mowing his lawn. Her behaviors are about what she can do herself. Maybe she needs to build a wall so that you can't see his lawn. But in reality, with the guy who's being verbally abusive, she can say to him, sweetheart, I have to tell you, I don't allow myself to be talked to like that. It's not, I don't allow you to talk to me like that. I don't allow myself to be treated that way. So I'm going to the other room. When you feel like talking respectfully to me, let me know and we can sit down and have a chat. And maybe if he's extra pushy and a little aggressive and used to getting his way, she's going to have to say, I'm going for a ride. I need some space. Text me when you're ready to talk respectfully. Bye. So she's moving herself, not him. So when my husband and I are on stage and we stand like this, I give the visual example and I say to him, so I'm not comfortable when people are inside my space here. And so I'm setting my verbal boundary. And then I drop and so he's standing beyond my hand. And then I drop my hand, and he and I practice this ahead of time. He immediately steps close to me. Now, I don't hit him or push him or say, back up, I told you not to get closer than that. I step away because I can control myself, but I can't control him.
Right.
So does that help explain boundaries for you?
So basically a boundary is what you say, and then you manage it by what it is you do instead of trying to force him to do something that you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like, why don't you just take out the trash? Or why don't you, because my way of doing it is either I just take it out because I don't feel like arguing, or 9 times out of 10, I'll just take it out. But then I'm irritated because why did I have to take it out?
Okay, so let's take this a step deeper. This is really good. So in my first marriage, I mentioned that my ex-husband used to be critical. He would say things that hurt my feelings. And when I would challenge him about it, he would say, well, I'm just being honest. As though he never heard of diplomacy or tact or whatever. But so here's the second level. So you've set your boundary, you've set it, you have shown him what works by moving out of the area. And if he then still keeps doing it, that's not working, that's not creating the change. And otherwise, if you keep allowing it, then you're living with something that's truly below your line and not okay with you. So the second level then is how to address a problem. And so this is the piece I was really missing in my first marriage, is I could have said to him, his name is Dan, Dan, when you say things that hurt my feelings, when you say things that sound disrespectful, when you say things that are negative and critical, it's damaging our relationship. I want us to have a good relationship. I want to feel good towards you. I want to feel emotionally trusting toward you. And so I'm asking you, for the sake of our relationship, are you willing to make a change? Because if you don't, I'm going to have to make the change. And I'm not saying you should always threaten divorce, but ours ended in divorce because of this exact problem. And if I could have said in year 2 or 3, instead of year 20, I've had it. If I could have said early on, this has to change. You need to understand and seriously listen to me. I'll give you an actual example. Are you familiar with the 5 love languages?
Yes, I have the book right here.
Okay, it's a great book. It's a great book. My love language is gifts, a gift in the hands.
Yeah.
My ex has a lot of shark in him. It's about money for him. And so it would be my birthday and he would buy me a gift. And I'd say, why didn't you get me a present? And he'd go, well, we can't afford it right now. Or he'd say, well, I didn't know what to get you. Or, there'd be some kind of excuse, but it was really the money. And I didn't challenge him. What I did is I started doing what you said, just take out the garbage. And I literally would buy my own gift. And I'd call him up at his job and I'd say, I just want you to know I really like my Mother's Day gift. You know what he would say?
How much did it cost?
That's right. How much did you spend? He wouldn't say, well, what'd you get, honey? Are you happy with it? He'd say, how much did you spend? My now husband, our first Christmas, because my language is gifts, I bought him a bathrobe and matching slippers and a couple of sweaters and some CDs and music that I thought he'd like. And his love language is words. So we had not put gifts under the tree. And I brought out the gifts. He opened all of them. And I said, now I want to see, what did you get me? And he handed me an envelope with a letter in it, a handwritten 2-page letter. And it was lovely. And I said, well, this is really beautiful. What'd you get me? Where's my present? And he said, that is your present. I said, no, it's not. I got you a whole bunch of presents. This letter is not a present. And he said, you spent a bunch of money. I spent 2 weeks writing and rewriting that letter to get it to say exactly what my heart feels toward you.
Wow.
But he listened to the fact that I need a gift. And he made a change because he values the relationship and is willing to do the work.
Yeah.
And he started making it to be a point of, like right now, Valentine's Day is coming up. And he'll say things to me because he knows I've practically got PTSD over not getting gifts in my first marriage. And I'm not kidding. And he'll say to me, seems to me like there's a special day coming up. So he's telling me, I remember, I'll be ready. And he learned you don't wait till the end of the day on Valentine's Day and then say, surprise, here's your gift. Because by the end of the day, I'm in tears and you didn't remember me. And giving me the gift at the end doesn't make up for it.
Right.
So I'll get that gift either the day before or the morning.
Yeah.
Because he knows what my needs are.
Right.
I now know what his needs are.
Right.
So when his birthday came, I went to the Hallmark store and I went through all the cards and found the one that said exactly what I wanted from my heart. And I signed it, love from Angeline, gave it to him for his birthday. He opens it up, he reads it, and he goes, but you didn't write anything. And I said, but it says everything I wanted to say. But you didn't write anything. And I learned a lesson that he wants handwritten words from me. And so now I make a point, because I'm willing to do the work to make our relationship work, and he's willing to do the work to make our relationship work. And it takes those two things, both people willing to do the work. One person cannot carry the weight. One person cannot go over and mow the yard for the next door neighbor and say, okay, now we have a nice neighborhood. Both people, if you want the nice neighborhood or a nice relationship, both people have to be willing to do the work.
It sounds like you both have to pay attention too, like, because
Yes.
they tell us what they want and what they need from us, and it's up to us to listen.
Yes. And
So, what do you think about online dating?
well, back when I was a single mom with 3 kids, I did what was then the version. They had a version of online dating. You put little personal notes in the newspaper about
Hilarious.
what you were looking for, and you'd go through, and there'd be the social section of the classifieds that would be all, different people saying, I'm looking for this or I'm looking for that. And so, but they didn't have computerized online dating back then. Here's what I think. We are in this society at this point. We are hungry for connection. We are lonely for being seen for who we are. We are isolated. And the computerized world of, texting and all that kind of stuff, we think I'm connected. I've got on Facebook, I have over 4,500 friends. It does not mean I have connections in my life.
Definitely.
And so we have to learn how to actually build connection. And the temptation when you're on one of those websites is to just look at the surface. What does the picture look like? Okay, not my type, swipe. Okay, oh, this one looks my type. Okay, I'll try this one out. One date and no, and over and done with. And we don't go slow enough and connect enough and be curious enough about the other person to find out who really lives inside that body. Who is that behind those eyes? What is that brain and that heart feeling and thinking? And so part of the challenge of dating is turn over enough rocks to find your guy, kiss enough frogs, and the online dating offers you the opportunity of plenty of guys, plenty of fish, but it depends on how you use it. Do you use it just swipe right, swipe left, one date for coffee, bye, and I'm looking for the ideal perfect man to show up, and you're going to miss him because you're blinded by your own story in your head of what he's going to look like when he shows up on that white horse.
So true. So
I don't want to overwhelm you.
no, it's true and it's necessary. So what do you think sustains a healthy relationship? Some of the audience members I know are engaged, some of them are married, some of them are single. So what would you suggest that we just keep in our hearts forever on what is going to sustain a healthy relationship?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. It's a major challenge considering the divorce rate that we have.
Yeah.
People don't know how to do that. People know how to find somebody to marry, and they think it's all going to work because there's plenty of marriages happening, even though they're happening later now.
Yes.
But people still get married. They still have stars in their eyes. They still hope. But on about 7 years or so, the passion has dimmed, and the annoyances are rising to the surface more often, and all the little things that maybe at first were just kind of funny are now downright irritating, and all of that. So people think that what is going to get you past that is good sex. It won't work if there isn't connection. If it's just the sex, it turns into just animals. The real connection is in how we treat each other. Because what all of us want, everybody in their heart of hearts yearns to be seen, accepted, and loved for who they are. So how can you do that? How can you show who you are if you're trying to put a face on it all the time of pretending you're perfect, you're pretending you're okay, not really saying what's hurting your feelings, not really talking about what's going on in your own heart? So what it requires is those two people are willing to do the work. And part of that work is to be open and vulnerable about yourself to some degree as you discover it's safe, and to be curious rather than critical about your partner. So when he does something that you're like, why the heck would anybody, anybody should know better than to act like that. Anybody should know. But instead of being critical, and thinking to yourself, my mother always taught me, you're supposed to act this way or that way. Surely he should know. Or every romance book I've ever read says he should act such and such.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you say to him, in a non-critical, truly frame of mind, so I'm just curious, honey, the other night when such and such happened, I didn't really understand what was going on there. Could you tell me a little bit more about what you were thinking and what that meant for you? I want to understand better. And it allows you then to see things more from his point of view too, which may change your mind about how things should. I'll give you an example. So I said when my husband and I got married, I had 3 kids at home. And we'd been married, I don't know, a month or so. And he said to me one day, you know, your kids are so rude.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, people would literally tell me that my kids were so great, they wanted to invite my kids over to hang around theirs and influence them to have good manners. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, they're always talking when I'm trying to watch TV. Oh, okay, I get it. I said to him, okay. So I apologize, and let me explain to you what's happening. When my kids are watching TV and we watch one of those sitcoms and there's behavior happening on there that is not okay with me, and maybe the kids in the sitcom are being snotty or sarcastic to their parents, or wearing clothes that I don't want my daughters out on the street in, or whatever, we talk about it right then. And if an issue comes up and somebody's acting some certain way, I'll say to them, this is not okay. I do not ever want to hear anything like that out of your mouth. Or they'll say to me, Mom, why did that kid do that? Or, you know, why is that dad acting like that? We talk about it on the spot. We don't wait till the end of the show to then discuss it. Or we don't wait until hopefully they're going to bring it up. We talk about it right now. We talk through the show. And my husband said, oh, okay, I understand that. I said, what was it like for you when you were growing up? My mother, if kids started arguing over, I can't hear the show, you guys are talking too much, my mother would say, okay, people are more important than TV, turn the TV off. So that communication in the family was the highest priority. So I said to my husband, with curiosity, what was it like for you in your house? And he said, well, with my dad, if he was watching TV, everybody else better be quiet. It was his way so he could listen. I said, okay, so we have 2 totally different ideas about the way it's right to be. Right. And he said, well, I can understand what you're saying about you want your kids to be able to discuss this and talk about what's happening and that people are more important than things. And I said, well, are there particular shows that really matter to you? And he said, yeah, the news and sports. And I said, well, how about we do this? Let's see if, so here, he's been curious about learning about me and my family, and I've been curious about his. Now we're looking for a solution that can work for both of us. Right. And this is not about compromise. This is about a solution that works for both of us, win-win. I said, how about this? How about if we say when it's news or sports, we are all going to be quiet. When it's any other show, we can talk through it. And he said, okay, that'll work for me. And I explained that to the kids, and that's the way it worked from then forward.
I love this. So basically, look for win-win. Manage your boundaries. Don't just set them, manage them also. And then listen to your partner, because that's important. Listen to what they're actually saying, not what you want to hear.
And be curious, not critical.
Be curious and not critical. She was dropping jewels today. I hope everybody caught that on the SOULKATION podcast, because she was dropping so many nuggets. I'm actually going to put the link to her website, the link to the quiz, the link to her book, so you'll get all these nuggets so you can apply them to your relationships. Are you ready for rapid soul questions?
Yes, absolutely. And may I say one more thing about the book for a minute?
Definitely.
So I just recently changed the way that I'm registered on Amazon. My book qualified as an Amazon bestseller. And it's about $11. Well, it's actually it's more like $12 plus shipping on Amazon. But what I changed is Kindle. If you have a Kindle, you can get my book for just $2.99. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. You can't keep it because you can only keep 10 books at a time, but you can read it for free if you want to. And then if you decide, oh, I love it, I got to have a copy, I want to be able to highlight and mark and everything, then you can order a copy like this.
Yeah, I love it. So name one person that you think is really funny.
Somebody that, well, my husband.
Made you laugh right there.
Oh, he does. He's got the cutest sense of humor.
What was the last song you listened to?
Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll.
Hilarious. I've never heard of it.
Oh, you got to play this. It's a Loggins and Messina song. It's an old time rock and roll song.
Okay. What dessert can you not live without?
Well, right now I'm trying really hard to live without sugar. But ice cream is really hard for me. Really hard.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Vanilla chocolate dip cones.
Ew. So what trait do you like most about yourself?
That I'm not judgmental. That I'm truly open and accepting of other people and other lifestyles and other ways of being and other paths. And I truly respect and support people in lifestyles that win for them.
I can see that. I really do get that from you.
Oh, good.
When I walked up and I first met you, I was like, she's going to be cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
What is one product that you must use every single day besides your cell phone?
Moisturizer.
That's important.
I get a really nice L'Oreal triple acting moisturizer that I just love, and I use it morning and night.
Okay. If you could go to dinner with anyone, who would it be?
Does it have to be somebody who's living?
No.
I would love to meet in person Katharine Hepburn.
Why?
I have a lot of admiration for her willingness to follow her own path. She was in love with Spencer Tracy for years and years and years. He was Catholic and married, and so he was unwilling to divorce his wife. And so Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn had separate households, but loved each other till the death.
Then they never got together?
They never got married.
Okay. That was tea. What's one book that you believe everyone should read besides Gorillas Make Great Lovers?
The 5 Love Languages.
Okay, definitely. I might include that quiz in the show notes too, because I think everybody should take that quiz.
It's a good quiz.
Yes.
It's a good quiz, and it's a real easy quiz.
Yeah. What are you looking to do next, and how can I support you besides sharing the links?
I'm wanting to speak on more stages.
Okay.
My husband and I are doing more presentations together. People tell me that it inspires them with hope when they see the two of us standing in front of them, and that they can feel the energy between me and my husband and tell that it's real. It's not something fake that we're putting on the surface. We truly have a marriage that is in the top 1% in the world. We really do. I mean, it's juicy. It's fun. My husband jokes that we don't have a 26-year marriage. We have a 26-year conversation.
That's good. And that's what keeps the sparks, the conversations.
The openness, the constantly learning new things about each other, the being curious about each other.
That's so important. Thank you so much, Angeline, for coming on the SOULKATION podcast.
Absolutely my pleasure. You do a great job of interviewing and getting information from people. I think that you're doing a blessing for your listeners. That's just wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So make sure you all share this episode with your friends, your family, leave a review in the iTunes comment section, and I will see you all on the next episode. Have a good one. Bye-bye.